Good morning and welcome to the favourite part of my week. It is Tuesday, 11 a.m. in Sydney. It's not that all over the world, but it is here in Sydney. I have a very special guest with me today, a gentleman who has really impacted me and almost forced me to follow him and follow the work that he does, right? I'm going to read out his bio because it's pretty impressive. Chad has a background in behavioural and social psychology, combined with an advanced degree of over 15 years of sales experience. He's been coaching, consulting, and leading in sales in the service industry. He's an expert, and I really believe this, he's an expert in the area of lead gen by natural way of him just being. He's a business developer and a team builder. Please join me in welcoming Chad to the show. Good morning, Chad.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Glenn.
What time is it there, by the way?
6 p.m. on Monday.
Okay. So we're cutting into the family time, right?
Yep. You guys are a day ahead of me here.
Well, mate, for those people that don't know you, and I'll elaborate a little bit more, who are you?
Yeah, my name is Chad Durfee. I think you hit it there in the intro, but when it comes down to it, I've been in the sales and service industry for over 20 years, using a lot of what I learned in education to help me succeed there. But first and foremost, I'm a family man. I've got a wife and two beautiful children who basically everything that I do is built around creating a better life for them. Lots of workout, lots of sports, and lots of business building, which are kind of my passion.
So you're trying to design a business that works around or revolves around your family, because I mean, I've seen a couple of your videos, and whenever I see you, I just see this happy dad out with his kids doing the selfies. He's riding a bike or on a skateboard, and the two kids in trail, and everybody's just got big smiles, just having a good time, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big believer in not trading time for money, right? Everything that I do is built around ROT and ROE, return on time and return on energy, and I feel like the ROI will follow if your systems are in check. So that's my big focus is return on time and energy.
We're going to talk about it later on, I guess, reciprocity. But I see that in just your children, the way they are being. I mean, how do kids spell love? They spell it T-I-M-E. And you can see that you put quality into those relationships. But I've also seen you from a business capacity, also invest into those relationships. So at the beginning part of the show, or in the promos, I talked about you can't just ask for referrals these days. So what are the things we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about modern day referrals, right? A lot of what's being taught about referrals and retention out there right now is it's pre-dial-up, right? It's a little bit outdated if you want to put it in context of the current marketing and lead gen era that we're in right now. And so if you think about how much the world has changed in the last 100 years, the fact that we're still using 100-year-old tactics for referrals doesn't necessarily jive with all the additional, everything else that's going on in the world. So we're going to talk a little bit about, maybe a little paradigm shift around the best way to get referrals and then be able to automate it.
Cool. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about the audience you serve. Which are the businesses that you find gravitate towards you and that you really feel that you can add the most value to?
It's a great question. I still every day am trying to get more and more clear on my avatar because I serve I work with dentists, doctors, realtors, coaches, consultants, fitness professionals, you name it. So I've got clients from about every industry. If your client pays you more than $1,500 to work with you, or your commission is more than that, then it's an ideal client for me. I would say that my focus in the past has been more on realtors and loan officers because that's what I was when I built the program. So that's where I had initially intentioned it to go. And then, through referrals and introductions and other doors opening, I've built out systems that can, impact wealth advisors, CPAs, coaches and consultants are a big one right now. I've got a lot of big time coaches and consultants that I'm working with that I'm excited about as well. So if that's you, that we probably fit.
So I've struggled the same area too, thinking, like I can service everybody with, the courses that I've run over the years. When it comes down to it, there's a couple of people that, or a couple of industries that I found I just really gelled with. There's still got to be a good fit, the people, but there were some industries that I felt that I could help out the most. And a lot of people on this call might sort of think, well, Glenn, you're that referral guy. Why would you have someone else on in regards to referrals? Well, the truth of it is that I'm always out there looking for people with an edge. If you want to be in the top 1%, you have to hang out with other 1% players. And it's not often that I come across someone whose information was a little bit, cutting edge. And that's exactly what I felt Chad's material was. He was speaking the same language, but it came across very differently. It came across very, very fresh. And I'm sort of going, wow, this is a system. I really like this. And I'd been involved in systems before, but this is very, very different. So, hey, but I guess it didn't always start out that way. All right. And so what has been the biggest challenge that you've had in business?
Yeah. So, I mean, frankly, starting this business, right? I've been, like I mentioned, I've been in the sales and service industry for 20 plus years, and I've done everything from car sales to high level banking to real estate and lending. It's always been referral only. But when I actually started going out on my own as a referral coach, that was probably the most difficult part, to be able to get my first few clients. So back in 2018, I would actually peg it to 2018 when I first left my company, because I consulted with them for a long time. I consulted with some other Fortune 500 companies to build out their referral systems. Mm-hmm. And then I went out on my own. And for that first 3 months, I mean, there was a 3-month period I was living in my car. I moved my parents and kids back home to my family. So they were living at my parents' house. And I was working out of my car, just trying to get my first few clients and get enough results and social proof that, other people would want to join up. So, went from 21 clients in 2018 to, well over 100 this year, and on track to quadruple again. But that 2018 was rough. That was a rough year for me. Just getting it started sometimes is the hardest part, getting that momentum rolling.
A lot of times you don't actually consider this unless you reflect or are good at reflecting. You actually needed to learn those lessons so that it made you a better coach in terms of referral marketing, because you have to learn what doesn't work. You have to learn how you really need to show up authentically. All right. Because when you're doing it, and what you don't realize is that people can see straight through that. And when you find something that really gels with you, I don't know anything else that I could do in business besides what I'm doing now. And I know you're the same way. You've built out lots of different businesses in lots of different industries the same way. And then all of a sudden went, hang on a tick, I'm really good at, the doing part of it. It doesn't really matter what the product was. I was always building my business by referral. What are some of the things that really stood out for you that sort of went, wow, this has definitely got to be in any type of referral program?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're human beings, so the referrals they've been around since long before we were here, and they'll be around long after we're gone, and they're still far and away the front runner when it comes to lead gen and ROI. So I knew that was there. I think one of the biggest things for me was understanding the actual high level psychology, what's motivating people, what would motivate people, and then being able to break that down into some simple systems and processes that you can do consistently that produce the same results. And that for me was kind of a light bulb in my own business, when I was doing these different industries. And then the biggest reason that I went out on my own was the fact that yes, I was in the industry. I was working full time in whatever job I was in, but I was also working full time building out these referral systems on the back end. And there came a time where I couldn't do both. I was being a producer myself, and then being asked to go teach other producers. And it eventually got to the point where I was the time and energy thing, where I was like, listen, I can scale this on my own and be able to save myself a lot of time and energy by not continuing to move with these companies. As an actual employee of those companies per se. But that was really the light bulb for me when I spent probably 10 years building out the system, to be honest, and doing a lot of social experimenting on my own clients. I'm finding out a lot of what didn't work, and a lot of what did work, and a lot of what didn't resonate. And then being able to systematize that was really the key. Once I did that, I knew it was time to kind of get out and start teaching other people how to do the same.
Do it is about what does work and what doesn't work. I actually had a card sent to me once. It was we sold a house, and the real estate agent sent us a card, and I was excited to open it, and I started reading it. I now call this my chocolate covered poo story. because what happened was the realtor actually said, "Hey, thanks very much for listing your house. I hope you're happy with the price. Please let us know if there's anybody else you'd like to refer us to." And I went, "Hang on a tick. Is this a thank you card or is this a referral card?" I wasn't quite sure. And that's why I call it chocolate covered poo, because it looks like chocolate, but as soon as you take one spoonful of it, it stinks like shit.
Yeah.
And I sort of went, that's the sort of tactic that, I've shared with you before. And I know that resonated because they're trying to kill two birds with one stone. I mean, it would have been better if they'd have just sent one card for the thank you. That would have had an impression on me, and another card to say, "Hey, listen, who do you know?" That would have had an impact on me. But this one just was all wrong. Yeah. Now, when I talk about, you're going to talk more about this reciprocity, I want to let everybody know here on the call, there's a great place called Cafe Sydney. Okay. Now, it's not your normal place that you go for a coffee. It's somewhere special. So when Chad and I first hooked up, he sent me a gift card, right, to go there. All right, not for a little coffee either. It was quite a generous gift. So let's talk a little bit about, the effort that you put into doing that. What would make someone do that?
Yeah, so I think relationship is everything in life and in business. And relationships are if you look at the most successful people on the planet, they're also the people who have the best ability to create relationship and connect with people, really be present with people, right? So you look at the big personal development influencers, Tony Robbins, right? Some of these other guys, they're very, very generous with the time that they have, with the resources that they have to create those connections with people and other industry, I guess you call them peers, that they want to be in business with, that they want to collaborate with. So that's always been a standard of mine, is being able to use what I call strategic gifting. Reciprocity is that's the social currency, right? Reciprocity is social currency. That's how our society works, right? If reciprocity didn't exist, the world would be a really horrible place. And so when somebody does something kind for somebody authentically, that person automatically feels some level of indebtedness and also is more engaged in that person and what they're doing. And it creates a deeper relationship, whether you wanted the gift or not. And so I think what happens too often, especially nowadays, is people are, especially business people, using your real estate example, they're so concerned with them and how they're going to get the next deal and where it's going to come from that even when they do try to engage a little bit of reciprocity, it comes across as a take, because it is authentically, it's an ask, right? Like your poo covered card, right? Correct. So when you can authentically engage reciprocity, but do it with strategy as well, that's where you can really find something special.
Yeah, correct. I mean, because it did make an impact on me, and I know that I've been in your group and commenting and chatting, and of course, if you're running Facebook groups, that's exactly what you want to encourage. You want to encourage engagement, and people not just going on and liking things, but to really get involved in the particular process. So let's cut it down to this. At the beginning part of the show, I sort of said, you just can't just ask for referrals anymore. So what do people do? So we'll call this part the section, the lights, camera, action. What is Chad? I've got a friend who sort of said, you should say the Chad. Do you ever remember seeing the Chad? Do you ever remember seeing the Charlie's Angels?
Yeah, the Chad, I get that a lot.
So tell us, why are you so different? What is your training? What do people can't just ask for referrals anymore, and what should they do instead?
Yeah, so let's start off with the current era of marketing that we're in. So we are in, throughout history, there's been different eras of marketing, right? You've gone from like the snake oil salesman back in the 1930s, when the Better Business Bureau didn't exist and the internet didn't exist and Google reviews didn't exist, and they just didn't know, to our current industry where they've got Google, they've got Yelp, they've got reviews, they can research anything and everything they want, and they can find anything and everything they want, and probably for cheaper than what you offer it for, right? So information is readily available, and people do not want to typically engage or do business if they haven't gotten some level of value first. And so, reciprocity in my world equals referrals. being able to use what I call strategic proactive gifting throughout your relationship with your clients, throughout your sales cycle and in strategic places, allows you to really raise not only the probability of them introducing you when the opportunities arise, but it also helps them recognize the opportunities. Most of the time, they're not even aware of it. You may have heard of a reticular activating system, right? It's the part of your brain that deals with conscious thought. And human beings only have a finite amount of conscious thought space. You know, we can notice all kinds of indicators subconsciously, right? You know what the temperature in the room is that you're sitting in. You know if there's any smells. Your body is recognizing things, but you're not conscious of it until something makes you notice it. The same is true with our clients, right? As and our relationships in general. So let's talk about like the gift that I sent you for.
Where did you go then, Chad?
You're an industry peer, somebody that I respect for having done it for. Oh, can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, so you're a peer. You're somebody I wanted. Okay, good. You're somebody I wanted to be in business with, and so I wanted to be able to use something that I knew would be valuable. Number one, because I knew it would create a deeper relationship with us. But number two, because I know that it's going to raise the probability of you wanting to reciprocate when an opportunity arises. And so it keeps me in the conscious thought space of your mind. If I hadn't given you that gift, we wouldn't even be on this interview. You know, if somebody comes in your business that you think would be a better for me, then the relationship that I've created through that strategic gifting is going to raise the probability that you introduce them to me, as opposed to anybody else in your life who you think could be there. And the same is true with our clients. So, when I bring on a new client, I'm a big proponent of welcome gifts, of being very generous with your time and your gifting to your clients early on in the relationship, and then teaching them the best way to reciprocate is through introductions when they feel comfortable. And I actually teach them how to do that and what the process is going to look like. And I work with my clients to look for what I call ether spike points in anybody's sales cycle, from the time you onboard a client until they're out of your program or transaction and into your post-client experience. There's natural spike points of emotion that people experience. It could be positive emotion, could be excitement and joy and hope. It could be negative emotion. It could be anxiety and stress and fear, right? So when they first sign up with you and they're not sure what they're going to get, there's a level of anxiety there. There's a level of buyer's remorse. There's some emotions that are happening. And it's important to understand that emotion creates memory. And so if you can identify those ether spike points in your sales cycle and then build those up with a little extra value that they're not expecting, so that you're over delivering on what their expectations are coming in, you engage reciprocity. And it opens them to then be able to, come in and make an authentic referral request if you do it the right way, using soft and then working into direct referral request, to not only want to introduce you, but eventually to feel like it's their own idea, right? Like it's like this is the only way that they can reciprocate and pay you back for how amazing you are. So it's using reciprocity strategically to build those raving fans, if you will, and really then turn them into an army of ambassadors that are out there not only singing your praises, but effectively introducing you high quality leads.
When you say return on investment, you're absolutely right there. We actually have a particular product, which I won't talk about on this interview. And as part of that process, clients refer us. If you're managing the relationship well, and you always remember that you're holding someone else's credibility in your hands when they refer you, and if you do a good job, then they can't help but just doing it again and again and again and again, because it's adding value to them.
Exactly.
All right. And so I have this one lady, Susan, who has referred me a total of 26 clients over the last 3 months. Right. And you have to just think about that in terms of, this is someone who has stopped their day, right, stopped earning money to arrange an introduction and write an authentic email and introduce me right? And then I can get on the phone and going, oh, well, so long as I don't go into, you don't go into sales mode and stuff like that, you're just really managing and nurturing that relationship. But you've got to understand that a lot of people have that capability too, if you treat the relationship with respect. And I think a lot of people move quickly into sales sort of approach and treat relationships and sort of going, well, Chad's over the other end of the world, really what's the chance of me getting business from him? He's in the same industry, but that's not what you did. You went, you know what? I get a good vibe about this. This is my chance to give. And that's exactly what builds up here. So if you're listening to this for the first time, I can't tell you, reciprocity doesn't start with them. It starts with you, all right? And you actually have to be the one to give. Now, think about the level of gift like that would be at Cafe Sydney. I mean, look it up. I'm not going to tell you the dollar amount, but look it up and sort of say what it would be for, go along for a lunch there, all right? But then, of course, I know plenty of people in this space, but of course I would refer to Chad if I had the client. And if you look at return on investment, say it was a couple $100, but Chad's program might be, $5,000, $6,000, then that's a good return on investment. And mind you, he might only have to spend it once, but I might refer him over and over and over again. All right, so this is just the start of that building relationship. So that's a great way to start a relationship. So tell us, what else have you got? What else could we teach them?
Yeah. So it's a good. I actually just did. We were talking about the live that I did before this. I was talking about client introduction programs. So when it comes to, I think one of the biggest missteps that salespeople make is they go into referrals without a strategy, and imagine going into your business without a strategy, without a business plan, without a game plan, and just kind of winging it. And it's not going to work as well as if you went in with a strategy and a system that you could use consistently every time with every client. So I think one of the biggest things that I would teach here, or that I would best advice I could give, and what I teach my clients, is how to really create a referral system that's repeatable, it's scalable, and you can use it every time with every client. So for example, with your client that has referred you 26 times, which is incredible. That's maybe one of the best I've heard of ever. So you're obviously doing an amazing job with the way that you treat her clients. Only 10 to 20% of your clients are going to refer you to that level. And I think what most sales professionals do is they focus on the 80% that aren't referring to try to get them to refer one, as opposed to focusing 80% of their time on the 10% that are referring to get them to refer even more. Because if they've referred you once, they can refer you 100 times, and they will if you have a system that continues to motivate them and drive them, in that direction. And so I think that's a big missed opportunity for a lot of sales professionals, is not understanding how to continue to engage and build up those referral centers. And they're so focusing on these people that may never refer, rather than building up the ones that are currently doing it, and to get even more.
That's a really good point. It's the old 80-20 sort of rule. Let's look at the people that aren't doing stuff rather than just acknowledging the people that are. And I think that's a really key factor, in that people can't get enough acknowledgement or recognition, right? Now, some people prefer to get that in private, like they don't like to be singled out. And then there are other people that are probably more salesy that prefer to have it in front of people. And when you look in their offices, they're the people that have all the awards stuck to the wall. First in this, first in that. They're high achievers, right? But no one that I know doesn't like being thanked or acknowledged for doing good work. So where do you put that time and energy? Well, why don't you put it with the people who actually have done something for you? And it could be a lot of things, like as you said before, a Google review, a Yelp review. These are all referrals at some level. They're talking about your business. You just got to take them the next day and see if you can't get the introductions.
Yeah.
Tell me more about how you train clients on doing the introductions.
Yeah, so a lot of it has to do with I think another big missed opportunity in the sales space is the onboarding experience. Right when you first bring on a new client, so often you're trying to support them through the process, but people ask me all the time, when do I make the first referral request? How do I make the first referral request? What do I say? And the onboarding experience is one of the biggest missed opportunities in the sales industry, because that's where you really set the expectation for introductions. You teach them how to do it. You teach them why it's important for them. You can paradigm shift it, so it's not about you, it's about them and their opportunity to serve other people, right? It's where you can set the reticular activating system, so they're kind of like a heat-seeking missile out there looking to refer you. A lot of people just assume that if I do a good enough job, they'll just refer me on their own, which happens occasionally, but that's going to give you a lot of inconsistency in your business.
Correct.
Right. So that's one of the biggest things that I work with my clients on. I guess if I could break down into a couple of bullet points, what are important in what I teach, you've got to have a strategic onboarding experience that allows you to engage reciprocity quickly, and then open the door for you to then be able to come in and teach them, why they should be looking for people to introduce to you, how to do it when that opportunity comes, and then, make it easy for them to do the first introduction. Right. So, and then move into the client experience. That's bullet point number 2, is move into that client experience and kind of identify those ether spike points, those natural emotional points of the experience where you can come in and over deliver on what their expectations were coming in. That's another big thing to do. Another tenet of mine is it's important to have a referral container over here, a referral container and a referral driver. A container being, the best way I can put this is, the psychology of referrals doesn't change. It never really does. It's been the same forever. But the vehicle through which referrals happen effectively has changed over time. And right now, a really amazing vehicle through which to engage your clientele and nurture those referrals are Facebook groups. You have one, I have one. And I believe that every sales professional that doesn't have a Facebook group that's strategically built to engage prospects, especially people who are being introduced to you, is missing an opportunity. It's kind of like a 3D CRM, if you will, a 3D database. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the email list was kind of the container. Now it's switching to, because in the Facebook group, you can build community, you can build engagement, you can provide value weekly. You're constantly on their mind if you're in there providing relevant, compelling value, and they know how to reciprocate because of how you onboarded them. And then a referral driver being a client introduction program. A lot of your clients may have heard it, or your listeners may have heard it called a referral incentive program. The two are different. Referral incentive programs, I think, are the most used and misused referral programs out there. High ticket salespeople don't need a referral incentive program. They need a customer introduction program, where the gifting schedule is different. The types of incentives are slightly different. But with those 4 things in place, you're going to be rich and you're going to get a big return on time and energy.
When I've seen the rewards program used really poorly. By the way, everybody watching the show, whether or not you're watching live now or on the replay, I highly encourage you. I'll just put it in the chat. I posted it up there. Let me just see if I can drag that across too. No, I don't seem to be able to. Show it. There we go. So that's the name of Chad's Facebook group. Okay, so I'm going to leave it in the chat because I think you should. I think you should join it anyway. All right, because a lot of the material that Chad just shared with you, then it takes a while to sink in. All right, but if you think of all the types of marketing that you're doing right now, ultimately there are a return on investment on each of them. Right, there's a return on investment from cold calling. All right, if you're in real estate agents, you just got to go out and pass out 1,000 flyers. You might get an introduction to 10 people, give you a phone call. You might get to go and talk to three homes, and you might get 1 listing. So there's numbers in that. There's a return on investment. Chad and I believe that referrals are a much higher return on investment because you're investing in 1 person who then could refer you to multiple people. All right. And that's the key. That's leverage. All right. So you're investing in 1 particular relationship. But the things that he just spoke about then, there's a lot of information to unpack. But if you want to get more business through referral, you hate the whole sales process, you've got to invest in some type of referral strategy. A lot of people that I come across just sort of think, well, I get my business from referrals. Okay, but do you get it predictably? And what do you do if you don't hit your targets? How do you actually increase that? Well, actually, when you've got a program, you can actually just ramp it up, right?
100%.
And a lot of people are just waiting for referrals to happen. It doesn't actually have to be that way. You can actually start to predict the amount of key drivers that when I do this, this is what happens. And it's a bit like going fishing. I don't know how many fish I'm going to catch, all right, or what type of fish I'm going to catch, but I know that I'm still going to catch 5 kilos, right, because I use all the right sort of tools, as Chad was saying. I use the sound depther, I use the right bait, I use the right lines, I've got the boat, I'm in the right area, and then the fish that are there, I'm going to catch. Referrals are the same way. Yeah. We're getting close to the end of the show. What else would you like to share with people, Chad?
Well, first of all, I just want to echo that, having a system that provides that you kind of like check boxes, like, hey, at this point I do this here, I do this here, I say this here. Just having it that simple. Eventually it just becomes the way you do business. You don't have to think about it anymore, and referrals become easy and they become natural. And not only is it scalable and predictable, but it's delegatable, right? So as you bring on new team members, you can then delegate those processes to them, which is what gives you your return on time and your return on energy, which allows you to then now spend that newfound time and energy on the things and people that you want to spend it with, as opposed to constantly on that that hamster wheel, doing the front end lead gen, which I guess I would say to your, like, I love every type of lead gen. I love cold calling. I love flyers. I love running ads. If it is going to bring in clients, I love it. What I suggest is, if you don't have a process or a program in place in your business to then double and triple those clients when they come in the door from the inside out, then you're missing out. There's a lot of money being left on the table because we all work so hard to get that one client in the door. Why not have a system in place that allows you to double it once they're there without any extra time or energy investment? Correct.
I had so many thoughts coming in when you're talking, and I'm like, I can't wait to bring up this point and this point. And, when I start talking, all of them have just gone. One of the things that I would like to point out to people watching this particular show is that Chad has a very systematized way of actually doing this. All right. So I've been inside the Facebook group and I've seen how organized it is. Now, most of the people that come into this particular space will say, do this, do this, do this. But it didn't seem very logical to me. So if you want something that's very simple, very easy to implement, that you just do on a regular routine, regular cycle sort of thing to get predictable results, do yourself a favor. Just join the group. Just join the group. If you want to take it even further, feel free to do one of Chad's programs. He's been nothing but giving in my relationship. He's referred me to 2 other people. One is a Facebook group, which I'm just loving at the moment. These guys are crushing it. And he's arranged introductions for me with people who've reached out. And of course, I can't wait to go to Cafe Sydney. So just tell us quickly a little bit about the group, what you're trying to achieve there, and a little bit about your programs.
Yeah, so the group is an opportunity. The way that business used to be is you would see an ad on Facebook and you'd click on it if you were interested, and then it would take you straight to a sales page and try and like force you to buy a program, right? So I'm not a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in people being able to come in for free, be able to see the content, see if it's a fit for them, see if it resonates. And if it resonates, then continue to get value until they feel like it's time to install their referral system. So I appreciate you sending people to my group. Anybody that wants to be in there, come in. When you request access to it, it's going to one of the questions. There's a few different questions to answer. One of them is, who introduced you to the group? Make sure to put Glenn's name when you do that, and I'm going to gift you my ultimate guide to strategic gifting for referrals. So basically, how can you gift proactively versus reactive gifting? And how you could strategize it to really engage reciprocity to a high level. It'll be one of the best resources you guys have gotten for free. So, I want to give you that when you're in the group. And then I would just say, when you're in the group, jump around a little bit, check out some posts, look at like the unit section, see what kind of content's in there. And if it resonates, then let's have a conversation and see if and how, you feel like it could support you.
Look, do yourselves a favor and just grab the PDF document, because that alone is going to teach you more than you think that you know. And I've been referral marketing for the last 20, 30 years. Great resource. Hey, Chad, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate time away from your family, but I appreciate everything that you've just shared here today. I look forward to the relationship continuing, and I hope that enough people take from this particular group and jump into yours. And I look forward to chatting to them, I guess, in your group.
Yeah, right. Good to know. Thank you for having me, Glenn. I'm glad to be here, and I hope that your listeners and watchers found it useful.
Yeah, and I'll certainly post pictures of when we go to Cafe Sydney. So thank you very much for being on the show, Chad. My name is Glenn Kirkwood, aka That Referral Guy, signing off with a reminder to build, share, and make connections. I'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks very much.